How's it going, everyone? This is Maximilian, and welcome back to Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, the Online Warrior.
It's over.
So it's been some time since our last get-together with Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and before I was asking a bunch of the viewers watching the videos, and especially players that were asking for advice or tips, to leave questions for somewhat of a Q&A session. There seems to be a lot of people that are breaking into Third Strike having a pretty easy time, and then some others that are finding it a bit difficult. So in general, this is going to be a follow-up video and a Q&A response to several of the comments in the previous Street Fighter 3 Third Strike The Online Warrior episode. So let's get things started. The first question came from ArchLOL and asks, Max, do you have any tips for me? Any vids I should check out, tutorials or whatever? I main Alex. If you main Alex, I'm probably not the best person to give you advice. Alex is one of the few characters I never really touched in Third Strike at all. And Alex is a really difficult character to be good with. I'd say at lower level play, anyone in the game can be effective, maybe besides like Ibuki. But Alex is a heavy-hitting character that does a lot of damage off grapples and does a ton of stun. However, like I'm saying, I'm not the guy to give you advice on Alex. However, there are several other Alex players, and one notably that you should definitely check out, and that's Rennick. And I'm gonna put a video link to his channel somewhere magically on the screen right now. And I'll also put a link to several matches that he had with Gutex over at Cross Counter. And they go over a lot of the analytical sides of Third Strike while exchanging banter and going through a lot of gameplay stuff. So if you're looking for general ways on how to control yourself, how to space things, how to move around with Alex, that's definitely the best way to go. Next question comes from Ada Wong Lover. I'm a defensive beast when it comes to Third Strike, but I'm always getting beat when it comes to players that utilize the quick overhead attack, because I usually don't see it coming. Any suggestions or tips on how to help me combat this gameplay mechanic? So, for you guys that aren't familiar with the universal overhead that is in Third Strike, every single character in 3S has an overhead attack. And it's not a special move. It's done by pressing medium punch and medium kick, and they do a short little hop, and some characters' animations are different, but they'll essentially strike high. So anytime you're blocking low, you're going to get hit high, and some characters can actually hit confirm this into supers. So it leads to a great deal of damage, and it's a absolute legitimate strategy, and it's something you need to be aware of. For the sake of looking out for this attack, the good thing is that unless you have players that are really good, this is an actual hard thing to hit confirm off for most players, especially online. Offline it's not that bad, but it can be pretty tough online. If you want to look out for it, it's going to come after a lot of points when there's a block string. I'd say you're probably getting hit by the most of it when players are going in, hitting you with a couple of low normals, you know, short, and then they would do universal overhead, and then from that lead into anything else. It doesn't do a ton of damage, like I said, by itself, but it leads to a lot, and it can be pretty annoying in the long run. But look out for that at first. What you need to keep in mind is that everyone has that tool. It's one of those things of realizing, like FADCs in Street Fighter 4. This isn't an FADC mechanic by any means, but it's just something you realize when playing Street Fighter 4, that everyone can FADC these things, and I need to be ready if they have meter. So it's just one thing you just got to keep your eye out for. Next question comes from Anti-UK and asks, Max, if someone has played fighting games casually in the past but now wants to break into the competitive fighting game community, which would you focus on, Third Strike or Arcade Edition? I figure you might pick up bad habits playing Street Fighter 4, but the barrier for entry for 3S does seem pretty intimidating. To be honest, I think if you're looking into getting to the modern-day competitive fighting scene, I think Street Fighter 4 is your best bet. Arcade Edition, or what would be better, Street Fighter 4 2012, that's going to be coming out relatively soon, is a more balanced version of Street Fighter 4, and that would probably be your best bet to getting into raw Street Fighter. Like, for example, Third Strike it's got the title of Street Fighter in front of it, and many other players have mentioned this, like James Chen. You might have heard him in Wednesday Night Fights, but Third Strike is the game that'll actually give you Bad habits, as an example. By all means, I prefer Third Strike myself. I enjoy Street Fighter 4, but I played 3S for so long that it's got this heavily embedded nostalgic memory that's just locked within the fibers of my being, and I just can't get rid of my love for the game. But Third Strike will give you worse habits than Street Fighter 4 will. Street Fighter 4 is a much more footsie-heavy game. Third Strike has those elements as well, but things like jumping is usually something that is not you don't want to do in Street Fighter games. And in Third Strike, you're free to do that with the advantage of parrying and things along that sort. Street Fighter 4 also is more of a concrete Street Fighter game because Street Fighter technically is a footsie game. The term quote-unquote footsie fighter is accurate in portraying like what some Street Fighter games like Super Turbo, the Alpha games, and even CVS to an extent represent. So I'd say if you're getting into the scene, Third Strike is an amazing game. If you find the community to play it, it's absolutely worth it. But if you want to get into competitive fighting games, I'd say Street Fighter 4 is an absolute great place to start, and the scene for it is huge. Next question is from GrayFX and asks, how do you feel about the idea of Third Strike being remixed? There's been a selection of players who would like it, and others saying and asking for a remix is noobish and screams for people who got spoiled on Street Fighter 4. This has been kind of a sensitive subject, and Derek, I think O'Neill, the producer of the game, was mentioning that this was a request that happened very early on when they were considering actually releasing Street Fighter 4 on Xbox Live Arcade, or Street Fighter 3 Third Strike on Xbox Live Arcade. And they didn't go with it, of course, as we know. I don't know if I'd be down for a 3S remix. I don't think the game actually needs it, and there's been a big enough fan following for the longest time to not give it one. The big difference between modern fighting games like Street Fighter 4 is that Street Fighter 4 has only been out for literally 2.5 years in the US, or just about over 3 now in total. That's nothing. Like Street Fighter 3 Third Strike and Marvel 2 and CVS 2, people played those games for a very, very, very long time, like nearly 10 years. So it's to the point where you get so used to the game that anything that would be different would be extremely alien to the players that have been playing the game for so long. And it also changes, like if you say like, oh, let's play some Third Strike, I'm done with Street Fighter 4. Well, if you're playing Third Strike Remix, you're not technically playing Third Strike anymore. You're playing some derivative of Third Strike, so that might take away the whole aspect of it, the whole reason that we like Third Strike. So I'm actually down with this. I don't think it's bad to request it, but I would think it'd be best if we got like a sequel. Like if we got a whole different game, like, Third Strike Part 2, and had it be rebalanced and, proper character graphics like the HD remix got, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think they should change 3S. JNTHNCLVN, John Hindcliven, asks, I hear a lot of people saying that Third Strike is all about hit confirming your supers. I hear this a lot. I want to know what hit confirming is, but could you go into Third Strike hit confirming and how that works? I was briefly touching up on this before, and hit confirming in Third Strike is something that is going to be a little difficult when playing online, unless you have a very local connection and it feels great. But all hit confirming is, and I'll use Ken or Chun-Li for an example because it's the exact same with both of them. Hit confirming is putting out a normal. You can also call it something like an option select, but more appropriately, hit confirming is using the active frames of a move. So, for example, with Ken or Chun-Li, which is low forward, and if you see the move hits, you activate the super. So there's a very small window of opportunity in between that. And you can understand why that would be difficult to do online, especially even offline. Hit confirming is not an easy mechanic to get used to. Some moves make it easier, some don't, but what you do to alleviate this a little bit is every time you would do a low forward, you're going to do crouching kick, and then you're going to buffer the motion for the super during the crouching kick. So literally, if you see the kick hit, all you have to do is press the final motion and then another button in order to activate it. So for Ken and Chun-Li, that means when you're doing a low forward, you're doing a fireball motion forward, Another fireball motion forward, but you stop on down forward, and that's when you press the kick button, and if you see it connect, then you go forward and press the kick button once more to activate your super. If that sounds a little complicated, it kind of is, but all it means is you want to put the motions of the character super before the normal every time you would throw out that normal. In case it hits, you have to press a very small portion of the rest of the move and just one button to activate for a bunch of damage. Like I said, Ken and Chun-Li, it's just low forward. Ken also has standing strong. Dudley, I use standing strong as well, or standing roundhouse. There's a lot of hit confirms, and I'm pretty sure you can check up on some guides on either GameFAQs or anywhere on SRK that might have a third strike forum, and figure out what are the best hit confirms for your character. That's gonna just about do it for the few questions I had from the previous video. I'd like to thank anyone who submitted their questions, and if you would like to see another Q&A session for Street Fighter 3 Third Strike The Online Warrior, please leave a comment below and I'll totally make another one of these videos later in the future. And the Third Strike Online patch just came out not too long ago for Xbox Live Arcade, so I'm going to be sure to download that and get my hands on with the latest, better working matchmaking, and then give you guys some impressions on the current state of 3S after the patch. But until then, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time.